One of the hardest things that people deal with in terms of decisions we're often make in life is whether or not I'm going to put a loved one into a nursing home. It's tough for your loved one. Many times they feel like that it's taking away their independence. But if they've become a risk to themselves trying to live on their own, then it's often the best thing to do. We expect that our loved ones are going to be taken care of. And Lord knows we don't expect that they're going to be physically abused. These cases involving physical abuse, criminal assaults, and that's what they are, they probably make me angrier than any of these cases, the physical abuse and the sexual abuse cases, because it's such a breach of trust and there's such a level of guilt. When we talk to people where this has happened to their loved ones, you can see the ton of guilt that they're dealing with because somehow they feel like that they were responsible. Well, you're not responsible if this happens to a loved one. No nursing home tells you on the front end, you put your loved one in our nursing home and we're going to end up beating the hell out of them. That's not something that you get told. They tell you we're going to take good care of them, you're making the right decision. And so when these types of cases occur, it really makes my blood boil. It's not just assaults. That's the one that comes to mind, and we see that. We see situations where nursing home residents have basically been beaten by staff members at a nursing home, and of course, that's not common, thank God. But there's other types of abuse that can take place. You will see nursing home residents who are improperly restrained. You will see the misuse of prescription drugs. There's a well-known case, or a case that got a lot of attention up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where persons in the Alzheimer's unit were being prescribed methadone to keep those persons subdued because they were felt to be agitated or difficult to control. Well, that's abuse. If you're giving somebody a drug to basically make them groggy, or you're tying people down improperly, then you're abusing that person. Well, the first thing I would say is, of course, listen to any complaints that your loved one is making. I think sometimes they get dismissed. We know that with some of the elderly, there may be mental conditions such as dementia, and so it may be, this tendency to say, oh, well, I don't know if that's really true. But if they complain about abuse, take them seriously. Don't just blow it off. But there's also physical signs. Any sort of bruising. Now, obviously, the elderly do bruise more easily, but if you see bruises, occurring over and over and over again, if you see the wraparound bruise where it looks like there's a handprint where somebody's arm has been squeezed so hard that it's left a bruise, that's not normal. You shouldn't have a bruise in the form of somebody getting grabbed on the arm. That's crossing a line. Any sort of burn injuries, abrasion injuries that look as if they come from ropes or straps, that can come from improper restraints. So, just trust your instincts, but if something doesn't seem right, and if you see any of these physical signs, then that's a situation where you at least need to investigate whether there's physical abuse that's going on. I think there's three things that come to mind. The first has to do with screening. You have to get, for someone who's going to work in a nursing home setting, there needs to be at least a minimum amount of screening done to find out what's this person's criminal background, if any. What about their employment history? Have they had issues at other facilities or with other employers? So that needs to be explored. Understaffing, we always keep coming back to understaffing because that is such a chronic problem with many of our nursing homes, especially a lot of the nursing homes that are owned by huge corporate interests who make a ton of profit off the operation of these homes, but they're always looking for ways to cut costs to increase that profit margin. And then, of course, training. It's no different from any other job. You can't just put somebody in a position, even if they have, maybe they've got a degree as a LPN or a nursing assistant, but unless you train them in terms of how to properly deal with your residents, then you're going to have problems that arise. If there's definite evidence of abuse, some of the things that we've talked about in terms of burn injuries or wraparound bruises, and sometimes even much more severe. We've seen cases where people really just got beaten severely. Call the police. That's a crime. The police need to get involved. They need to start investigating it. If it doesn't rise to that level, but it's still enough that you're concerned, I would definitely talk to the nursing home administrator about it to express your concerns so that they've got some record of it, and perhaps talk to the resident's doctor so that they can start investigating it to see if they think that there's evidence of physical abuse. And finally, if you've got someone that's been subjected to any sort of physical abuse, I'd urge you to call the Joye Law Firm at 843-554-3100 and talk to us about it. There's no charge to have the case screened, and that's both by a nurse consultant and by an attorney. And just for your peace of mind, I think it would benefit you to have the claim investigated.